The night breeze carried a biting chill as Sam drove along the worn asphalt of the legendary Screaming Hollow. The headlights seemed swallowed by the darkness, unable to penetrate more than a few meters ahead. Lisa was restless in the passenger seat, her fingers tapping on the armrest. "Are you sure you want to do this?" she asked, her voice low but heavy with apprehension. Sam forced a smile. "It's just a road, Lisa. People love to exaggerate these stories." He tried to sound confident, but something in the air unsettled him. It wasn't just the isolation or the absence of other vehicles. It was the crushing silence. Not a sound of insects, nor the rustle of trees in the wind, just the engine's noise echoing like an intruder in that vast darkness. The road wound through serpentine curves, flanked by skeletal trees whose branches seemed to form twisted hands in the sky. On the ground, unusual markings were visible, disordered circles etched into the asphalt like scars from a forgotten time. "Look at this," Lisa said, pointing at the symbols. "It looks ritualistic." As they continued, the car radio, previously off, began to emit static. Suddenly, whispering voices emerged from the noise, disjointed phrases as if someone were trying to speak through an invisible barrier. Lisa froze, her face pale. "Did you hear that?" Sam didn't respond immediately. His eyes were fixed on something ahead. On the roadside, an indistinct figure seemed to be watching them. A chill ran down his spine, and he pressed the accelerator. But when they passed the spot where the figure should have been, there was only emptiness. The silence returned, but now it felt more oppressive. Lisa whispered, "I think we made a mistake coming here." The car moved forward along the desolate road, but now the silence was not just unsettling. It felt alive, filling every corner of the vehicle like a grim warning. Lisa stared fixedly out the window, her face tense. The symbols on the asphalt continued to appear sporadically, becoming more complex and disturbing. "Sam, what if these marks are more than just graffiti? Something here isn't right," she murmured, tightening her seatbelt as if it could protect her. Sam didn't respond right away. His hands were gripping the steering wheel so tightly that the knuckles were white. He felt something, a presence that was invisible, but undeniably real. "Lisa, we're overreacting. These stories, they're just legends to scare tourists." He tried to sound confident, but the tremor in his voice betrayed him. The radio, which had been silent, came to life again with more static. This time, however, the voices were clearer. Distorted words emerged from the chaotic sound. "Don't go back, souls." Lisa switched off the device quickly, but the sound lingered for a few seconds before fading. She swallowed hard, her heart racing. "Sam, I think we should turn back." Suddenly, the car's engine sputtered, and the vehicle jolted before losing speed. Sam pressed the accelerator to the floor, but the car simply didn't respond. "Not now!" he shouted as the dashboard flickered with warning lights. They were stopped in the middle of the road, surrounded by darkness that felt even denser. Lisa tried to use her phone, but there was no signal. The sound of footsteps began to echo around the car. Slow, dragging steps, as if something or someone was approaching. "Sam!" she called, her voice trembling. He looked in the rearview mirror and saw a silhouette. It was far away, but not far enough to seem harmless. The sound of the footsteps ceased abruptly. Sam turned the ignition key desperately, but the car wouldn't start. Then Lisa pointed to the window. "Over there, in the woods, someone's watching us." Between the trees, eyes glimmered in the darkness. They were not human eyes. There was something wrong, as if it had been lurking there for much longer than would be possible. The sound of footsteps began again, but now it came from multiple directions, surrounding the car like a dissonant choir of something beyond the natural. Lisa grabbed Sam's arm, her fingers digging into his skin. "It's coming from all sides," she whispered, her voice laden with dread. Sam tried once more to start the car, but the key just turned uselessly, producing a dry, irritating sound. "Damn it!" he muttered, banging his fist on the steering wheel. The radio crackled to life on its own, and a low, dragging laugh emerged from the static, followed by an agonizing wail. Lisa covered her ears, her eyes brimming with tears. This isn't real. This can't be real. Suddenly, something slammed against the roof of the car with force. The sound reverberated inside, and Sam instinctively looked up. "Stay in the car," he ordered, trying to mask the fear in his voice. He grabbed the flashlight from the central console and cautiously opened the door. The darkness outside felt even thicker, as if the night was swallowing the light. The flashlight flickered as Sam pointed the beam at the roof. There was nothing there. He took a deep breath, but before he could return to the car, a horrifying sound echoed from the woods, a high-pitched, distorted scream that sounded like a mix of human crying and something wild. Lisa opened the window, shouting at him, "Sam, get in the car, now!" But before he could respond, the flashlight caught a movement in the corner of his vision. A tall, skeletal figure emerged from the trees, its eyes glowing like embers. Its form appeared deformed, limbs far too long, skin grey like a decaying corpse. He stumbled back, nearly tripping. "Get in the car!" Lisa pleaded, desperation evident in her voice. Sam ran and slammed the door, locking it quickly. The creature remained still for a moment, simply watching. Then, slowly, it began to approach, dragging its feet across the asphalt. Lisa started to cry softly, and Sam, though terrified, held her hand. "Whatever it is, we won't let it in." The creature stopped in front of the car, tilting its head to the side as if analyzing them. The silence returned, but this time it was more oppressive than ever. The creature before the car was the very embodiment of fear. Its eyes glowed like two incandescent spheres, and its silhouette seemed to vibrate in the dim light, as if it didn't quite belong to this world. Lisa squeezed Sam's hand so tightly that he could barely feel his fingers. What is that?" she whispered, unable to look away. Sam didn't answer. He knew as much as she did. Nothing. Only that this being was not human, and that something deeply wrong had drawn them to this road. The creature raised one of its skeletal hands, with elongated fingers that looked like knives, and began to scratch slowly at the car's hood. The metallic sound made them both shudder. "Go away," Sam muttered softly, as if it were a mantra. "Go away!" But the creature did not leave. Instead, he leaned in closer, bringing his face near Lisa's window. Even in the dark, it was possible to see the skin stretched over bony protrusions, the teeth bared in a grotesque grin. Lisa screamed, recoiling in her seat as the creature emitted a guttural sound, something between a growl and a laugh. "Sam, do something!" she pleaded. Sam glanced around, searching for anything that could help them. Then he realized Lisa's phone was on the dashboard. Although there was no signal, perhaps the flashlight could serve as a distraction. He grabbed it quickly and pointed the beam directly into the creature's eyes. To his surprise, it recoiled, letting out a shriek that made both their ears ring. Taking advantage of the moment, Sam tried to start the car one more time. This time, the engine showed signs of life, coughing like an old man on his last breaths. "Ooh, come on," he repeated as he turned the key frantically. The creature, recovering from the shock, lunged forward again, this time with more speed. Its hands slammed against the glass beside Lisa, creating cracks in the surface. "Sam!" she screamed, panic overtaking her. The engine finally roared to life, and Sam wasted no time. He slammed down on the accelerator, sending the car racing forward. The creature attempted to follow, but soon vanished from the rearview mirror, swallowed by the darkness. Lisa was breathing heavily, her hands trembling. Is it going away? But the feeling of relief was short-lived. The road ahead seemed to distort, as if there was no end in sight. The trees now appeared denser, forming tunnels that blocked any sign of moonlight. The sensation of being watched did not diminish. On the contrary, it intensified with every mile they covered. Suddenly, the radio crackled to life, But this time it wasn't static. A low, raspy voice began to speak as if it were inside the car. "You shouldn't be here. This place belongs to us. And you belong too." Lisa screamed, turning off the radio, but the voice continued echoing, coming from all directions. The car jolted again, and the dashboard began to flicker once more. Sam struggled to maintain control, but the headlights went out, plunging them into complete darkness. Lisa grabbed the phone's flashlight, but the beam seemed to be swallowed by the void. "Sam, we're not getting out of here, are we? It's like we're driving in circles." He didn't respond. His mind raced, trying to understand what was happening. Then it hit him. On the asphalt ahead, the same symbols they had seen at the beginning reappeared, now glowing with a faint, sinister light. "This isn't just any circle. It's a ritual," he said, his voice low and filled with dread. Lisa looked at him, terrified. "What does that mean? How do we get out of here?" Before he could answer, the car came to a complete stop, as if an invisible force held it in place. The air around them grew heavy, making it difficult to breathe. The creature reappeared, but this time it was not alone. Other shadowy forms emerged from the forest, surrounding the vehicle. Their eyes glowed in the dark, and their voices began to form a low, hypnotic chant. Sam knew there was no easy way out. He looked at Lisa, his eyes filled with determination. "If anything happens, run. Don't look back." She shook her head, tears streaming down her face. "And I'm not leaving you here." But before they could react, the car door was ripped off with brutal force. The lead creature reached for Sam, and he felt a chilling cold invade his body. Lisa screamed, but something pulled her out of the car as well. The figures separated them, dragging them into the darkness. Sam's last thought before losing consciousness was the certainty that this road was not merely cursed. It was a portal to something far more sinister. Sam's consciousness returned slowly, but the darkness around him was impenetrable. He felt the cold, damp ground beneath his body, the smell of earth and decay invading his nostrils. He tried to get up, but a sharp pain shot through his back. "Lisa!" he shouted, his voice echoing into a void with no reply. His heart raced, panic consuming every fiber of his being. He looked around, but saw nothing but shadows that seemed to move. It was then he noticed something disturbing. He was surrounded by the same symbols seen on the road, now etched into the ground around him. They glowed faintly, like pulses of energy. Each mark seemed to emit a whisper, incomprehensible words reverberating in his mind. On the other side, Lisa was kneeling, her eyes wide and fixed on something Sam could not see. "Lisa!" he called again, but she didn't respond. Her face was pale, and tears streamed down without stopping. Sam crawled towards her, ignoring the pain until he finally managed to grip her shoulders. "Lisa, it's me! I'm here!" When she finally looked at him, her eyes seemed lost, almost empty. "They showed me, Sam. They showed me everything. This road isn't just a portal. It's a judgment, a place where sins are brought to light." Her voice was a trembling whisper, but the words hit Sam like a punch to the gut. Before he could respond, the air around them shifted. A gigantic figure emerged from the shadows, more horrendous than anything they had ever seen. Its shape was indistinct, as if constantly changing, but the eyes were fixed and burned like fire. "You have entered my domain," the creature said, its voice rumbling like thunder. "And here, every mistake, every choice will be heavily weighed." Sam tried to argue, but his words faltered in the face of overwhelming terror. The creature raised a hand, and an intense light enveloped them. It was as if time and space paused for a moment before everything vanished in a flash. The sun had already risen when a truck driver found the abandoned car at the side of Screaming Hollow. The paint was marked with deep scratches, and the interior seemed untouched, except for the open doors. There was no sign of Sam or Lisa. The man looked around, uneasy. There was something in the air of that road that made the hairs on the back of his neck stand on end. Days later, A police officer searched the area. He found a phone lying near the woods, the screen cracked but functional. When he turned the device on, he discovered a recording. It was Lisa's voice, desperate, whispering through tears. "They got us. Don't come here. This road is a trap." The audio abruptly cut off with the sound of something being dragged, followed by a deadly silence. The news of the couple's disappearance spread quickly, reigniting the legends surrounding Screaming Hollow. Local residents shared tales of screams that could still be heard at night and strange lights dancing among the trees. Some even swore they had seen two figures walking down the road, always heading in the same direction, before vanishing into the air like mist. The following week, a group of curious youngsters decided to explore the area. Armed with cameras and torches, they walked along the road in search of clues about what had happened to Sam and Lisa. One of them stumbled upon an unusual object, a wedding ring buried in the ground with the initials S and L engraved on it. Little did they know they were being watched. Later, one of the cameras captured something inexplicable. A skeletal figure with glowing eyes briefly appeared in the corner of the footage before the battery suddenly drained. The group fled, abandoning their equipment. The story of Screaming Hollow remained a cautionary tale for those who dared to challenge its mysteries. The road lay empty during the day, but at night, those brave enough to pass through reported hearing whispers and distant laughter. And somewhere, trapped between time and darkness, Sam and Lisa still wandered, their souls marked by the judgment of that terrible night.